So I've been going back to Mormon church, and yes, I'm going back for the community, and I'm going back to meet friends, and so my kids have friends, and yada, yada, yada. But I've also been trying to apply some of the spiritual principles to my life. And let me talk about that for a minute, because I talk a lot about how before I decided to come back to the church, I had gone for 7 years constructing my own spirituality, reading books, Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, my own North Star by Martha Beck. I've read a ton. Okay, I can't even think off the top of my head all the spiritual books that I've read. But when I first left the church, I read a lot of spiritual books because I wanted to try to configure my own spirituality. For a really long time, I didn't have any spirituality. I was you could call me meditating with crystals my spirituality. I knew there was some higher power. I couldn't deny that because I don't want to live in a world where there's no higher power, and I don't think it's logical to think there isn't, to be honest with you. It's not logical to me to think that we just came from dust and an implosion, and then where did all that come from? To me, it's more logical to think that there is a higher power, but I didn't even know what that was. I couldn't even conceive it for the first 2 years. And then as time went on out in the secular world, I read more books. I contrived my own spirituality, and it led me back to Mormonism. So for example, my husband and I had a big decision to make on something regarding our finances, regarding a move in another direction and how it could bring in better finances. And so last Fast Sunday, we decided, let's fast about this. Let's fast and pray about it. It has been 8 years since I fasted about anything. However, many of the beliefs that I've gathered over the last 8 years in the secular world talk about fasting. They talk about how we need to strip our body down to its core dynamics and makeup to truly connect and to lower the barriers between us and this source consciousness. And so I thought, we need to fast. Let's fast. I haven't done it. Let's try it. We did. I've also listened to Kevin Trudeau, who talks about manifestation. And one of the things he says is the most successful people in the world pray. And how do they pray? They look to the Bible and they follow the tenets in the Bible. So they go into their closets. They pray in private. They pray aloud. Well, all of those things I do at church. We pray aloud multiple times through church services. We pray multiple times aloud with our families. We pray in private. We say morning prayers and evening prayers. Now, I'm not that great of a prayer. It's been a while. I'm not in the habit that I once was when I was fully active in Mormonism for 40 plus years. I would pray many times all day, morning and night. I'm not there. But we thought, listen, if we're going to make a big decision for our family, we need to pray and we need to fast. And all of those things I gathered a value for before I ever went back to Mormon church. This is why it led me back, because I was like, you know what? I believe in a lot of the things that I've been taught my whole life in Mormonism. Another example is we talk about how when people come together and they focus their energy on one thing, on achieving one thing like world peace or something like that, there's visible, visceral changes in the energy components that we see on systems like the Schumann resonance, which show us the energy emanating from Earth. When people come together and they intentionally focus on something and they meditate towards that end, there is a drastic and observable change in energy. And I thought, isn't that what we do in our wards when we sit and we fast for somebody? In the Mormon congregation, if somebody's sick or they're going through something hard, the entire ward, every single person in that congregation will fast and pray for that person. Now, if I want to take in all the beliefs that I've gathered in the last 7 years about prayer and intentional focus and energy and fasting, and then know that a huge group of people are going to do that for me and they're going to pray towards this one end, it's much more powerful and effective. And these are the things that we can get in our church experience. These are the benefits of being part of a church community. And these are the reasons why I came back to Mormon church after being in the secular world for 7 years and having my records removed. And I'm going to tell you right now, we received a very clear, delineated answer to our question that we fasted and prayed about. And now that we've taken steps in that direction based on that answer, it's been nothing but beneficial, amazing, and miraculous. We made the right choice. And it was because we fasted and prayed for that answer, and we received an answer. And it's every single minute that we move in that direction, we feel and know that it's actually what we were supposed to do, and that it was the right answer, and that it was basically a blessing from God, because all the synchronicities line up. There's so many synchronicities, which synchronicities are another thing I believed in out in the secular world, which in the religious world, they talk about it all the time. In Mormonism, they call it tender mercies, but it's the things in your 3D world that show up to show you that you're going in the right direction, that you're walking on the path that is meant for you. And it's been amazing to be back in church. And to be honest, we're so much happier. We're so much happier. It feels amazing to be part of a community that you know has your back no matter what. And they love you wholeheartedly. They love your kids. The leaders pray for your kids. Like, I could create a whole nother video on this. I'm just happier back in the church. It doesn't mean it's for everybody, but for me and my family, it's the best decision, and it's showing up in things like fasting and praying over a decision.